Alright, now we're going to look at a workflow, and this workflow is taking something made in ZBrush, just anything weird, and one of the weirdest things is ZSketch. Okay, so ZSketch, when you make something out of ZSketch, usually you don't get a usable mesh in other applications. But here is a product, like here's a ZSketch, and what I did is I turned it into a usable mesh for something. I don't know what, but you can definitely use this within another application because it's low poly and it goes up to high poly. I could generate a normal map if I wanted to. I can even add to this mesh. Alright, so what I'm going to do is start over from the beginning and show you how to turn something made in ZBrush into a usable piece of geometry. So here's that ZSketch. Go to Lightbox, click and drag it out, and hit Edit. So first off, just know it's got several subtools. One is a sketch, and the other two are meshes. And this other one, I don't know what this one is, so we're going to delete it. Okay, this one I can't use just yet. I have to make it into a polymesh. Okay, so a ZSketch goes into a polymesh via a unified skin. So many terms. Let's go into 2 of subdivides, and we'll go into like 256 resolution and hit preview. This might take a second. Good, that's what it looks like. I like that. Let's keep it. So make unified skin. So now let's go back to the one that has all the subtools. Get rid of the sketch. Delete it. And let's append the skin. Sweet. And it doesn't matter where we put it because we're going to actually merge all these together. We're going to take this just the way it is, and we're going to hit merge down. How'd that thing get back in there? Okay, so what we're going to do is get rid of that. And how we're going to do it, we're going to go back to this one. Yes. And this one doesn't have it, so we'll go delete. On the ZSketch, and append the ZSkin. There we go. So now we got a skull, eyes, and the skin. Okay. None of them are weird. None of them have to hit A to preview. They're all good. This I'm going to merge down. Perfect. So now it's one big giant chunk of mesh. But we can't use this yet because it's got all these kinds of ins and outs of it. So we're going to turn it into a dynamesh. So a dynamesh, located down here in geometry, I would make a duplicate copy so you don't screw this up. Choose the duplicate. Go down to geometry. And under dynamesh, I'm going to choose something a little higher resolution. Maybe, again, 256. We'll use that same thing. Dynamesh. And there we go. We now have a dynamesh. So this one is kind of like a hollow part. It has no internal polygon structure. That's the nice thing about it. And just to kind of show you that, I can go like this. And you can see it's completely hollow. Where the other one, if I went like that, you can see it's got all kinds of junk in the inside of it. That's bad. Okay, so now we got a good one. Again, duplicate it so you don't screw it up. Still with me? Yeah. So now what we need is a low-res representation of this. So we're going to take this one and we're going to take a plugin called Decimation Master and pre-process current. I'll click on polyframe so I can see what I'm doing, and then I'll go into the plugin and say decimate current. That's pretty good, but we have to have under 11K or under 15K. So right there is 11K. That's not too bad. Let's see if I can get a little bit lower. Right about there. Good to go so far. So what I'm going to do is take this one and I'm going to make it a polymesh. Okay, let's go back to this one. This is the highest one. I'm going to make a polymesh also. Go back to this one. So I have a low res and a high res out here. Still with me? So another thing we're going to make is we're going to append a z-sphere. We're going to take the z-sphere and we're going to go down here and we're going to go to rigging. And for rigging, we want to select a mesh. We're going to select the high-res mesh, and you can see the polygon count right below it. This one says 122,000, so I'm going to use that one. And I'm going to say bind mesh. Then for topology, I'm going to select the topology of the 8,000. Edit topology. Then I'm going to go down to projection, go to adaptive skin and choose 5. This will give me 5 levels of subdivide on my new mesh. That should be pretty good. Alright. This should be standard. I'm not using anything of P multi, so I'll hit A. This could take a second. Okay, so we have it. That's it. Let's go to adaptive skin and make the adaptive skin. Now, if we go to that new skin, we're going to find something pretty amazing. Let's turn off polymesh. So if you go to geometry, you're going to see that you have 5 levels of subdivide here. Now, if you're unhappy with the results and you want it a little bit more detailed, this looks a little fractured to me, we can always go back. It's not hard. Go back to this one. Hit A. Go to adaptive skin and add another level. In this case, I'll go to the subdivide of 7 just to be safe. Hit A. This could take a second. Ooh, I've broken the bounds of my computer. Don't freak out. It's okay. It'll keep doing it. Now remember, we can always delete a level. That's no big deal, but to gain a level, that's kind of hard. So whenever you see this message, like when in this case, I wouldn't freak out. Just let it ride. So I have a system here that has like 12 gigs of RAM. It's got an i7 processor. If you're doing this on a laptop, don't even try that. You go with 6 on the density, maybe 5. Alright, much better. Now, let's make adaptive skin. Now the difference here is, for this one, might look a little rough, but it has enough where I could save it. I could go in and maybe buff it out using the polish feature. So I'll have to do that a couple times. Better. Okay, and if you look, we have a mesh that has 7 levels of subdivide. I can easily sculpt more on this if I needed to, but it's all about the capture. So if I would have captured this a little higher, remember when I chose 256, I could have went like a little bit higher on it, and then I would have lost a little of the fracturing that is occurring on the poly structure. So just be wary. Whenever you're capturing, you should probably capture high, because you can always delete higher over here. So that's how you turn something made in ZBrush into a usable mesh in another application. It doesn't have the best topology, but it does have a lower structure. Enjoy.